Welcome in at Sports by the Book special. If you're listening to us, we thank you very much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you may be listening to this podcast. Also, South Point Studio on YouTube. And as well, you can also follow Punchlines with Frank Nicotero, one of our shows as well on YouTube. Joining me as he joined me before this tournament of Unabated, our good friend Tom Viola. TV, man, what a weird group stage this ended up being in the Euros.
I'm surprised you brought me back, quite frankly, because wow.
Yeah, no.
We thought, oh, yeah, this looks like it might be a little bit of a chalky tournament. Austria out there surprising everybody. England surprising nobody, falling flat on their face.
Yeah, but they still won their group, though.
That was the most England thing to do, to back into winning that group. That was just absurd. And yet, they luck out all the way, and they are very much in the mistakes bracket for the knockout here, because what we're coming into, Jeff, we have the good teams on one side of the bracket and we have the mistakes on the other side of the bracket. And so all it means is we are set up for the game of the tournament to be the semifinal on the top side, because we have all of the teams that we were expecting, like, oh yeah, these are the good teams here. Meanwhile, one of England or Italy is waltzing to the final.
So I just want to bring this up. This tournament, really the story of this tournament of just, other than, look, let's give Spain their flowers. Let's give Spain their flowers.
I said I was worried about this team because it's where the goal's going to come from. Like, is Murata going to be hot? If he is, then they're going to go far. Murata's hot. I bought in at plus 450 on them to win the tournament.
So let's give them, they're the only team that made it through with 9 points.
Yeah.
They're the only team.
And they look the world like they're going to win.
They look clearly, and again, in a group that only ended up getting 2 because of that epic goal by Italy at the end to eliminate Croatia.
Yeah.
Also, I feel bad for Albania. Albania gets stuck in a bunch of these other groups. They might have even won some of these groups.
Seriously.
Since Romania won one of the groups. And then, of course, Croatia. Just too much age in the end for them.
Yeah.
While they're out. But really the story for me in this tournament is, first off, congratulations on the Golden Boot own goal. Second off, the high-end teams, other than Spain, and you know what? The Germany game against Switzerland was a little bit of a funky game. Switzerland always manages to play up, it feels like, in these tournaments tournament, where you were concerned pre-tournament, and Switzerland's honestly looked pretty good in this tournament.
Shaqiri looking like a world beater. No one has seen that in Chicago.
Yeah, but that's what Shaqiri does in these international tournaments. So, but Germany and Spain, really the only two, and I guess I'll throw Portugal in there as well, because that loss to Georgia, they already knew they were winning the group. It kind of took the foot off the gas pedal, especially after that early Georgian goal.
Oh, yeah, they did not.
So I'm not going to take much from that.
Yeah.
But England, even though they went through technically without a loss, didn't play well.
No.
France, undefeated through group play, shouldn't have been. They should have lost to the Dutch.
And the other thing that you have to worry about there is Mbappe's nose.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to hit a soccer ball with a broken nose. Not fun. Not fun.
Not fun. Not fun in a normal circumstance for mere mortals like you and I. But, I mean, with a broken nose for Mbappe, just brutal all the way around. Belgium, I mean, my goodness. I mean, that group all ends up with 4 points. Belgium ends up finishing second in that group.
But Belgium is wildly fraudulent.
Well, I mean, again, poor Lukaku, who probably should have about 6 goals already in this tournament and still hasn't scored.
He should be running away with the Golden Boot.
There's that. And then, look, I think for just before we go into these matchups in around the 16 and the futures market as a whole, in a tournament where you have a good chunk of the high-end teams underperforming, you can end up with some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And we have ended up, as you mentioned at the top, here's one side of the bracket. Here are the 8 teams: Germany, Denmark, Spain, Georgia, France, Belgium, Slovenia. That's 5 of the 7 favorites to begin the tournament, and at some books, 5 of the 6 favorites at the beginning of this tournament, Tom.
Yeah.
On one side. By the way, congratulations for Georgia for making it through in their first ever international tournament. Good luck against Spain. It's a shame they didn't draw England, because that would have been comical for a lot of reasons.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Slovenia gets Portugal. Fine. Denmark, again. Denmark wasn't overly impressive, but did what they needed to do in order to get through, advancing on fair play points as the second place team.
That was absolutely incredible, and the reward for it is they get to play Germany.
The other side of the bracket are these teams: Italy, Switzerland, England, Slovakia, Romania, Netherlands, Austria, and Turkey. I mean, look, the Austrians were probably of this first round. I would argue the Georgians were the best story of the first of the group stage, but Austria, who I'll credit Bill Connolly, who was all over them going into this tournament, Bill Connolly of ESPN. Austria wins the group.
They look great. They have an absolute reasonable chance to make the final. Like I'm trying to find prices on them to make the semifinals because their path to the semifinals is paved with gold.
It would be pretty funny if Rolf won a Euro. It would be pretty funny if that happened. But look,
you can get Austria at plus 340 as semifinals for stage of elimination.
Not bad bet at all.
I don't hate that bet one bit because you have to figure odds are they're going to be facing the winner of the Italy-England game that we are expecting to have. Although, quite frankly, Italy could absolutely lose to Switzerland. That is fully within the realm of possibility here. But you have to figure the way the groups are going to play out. Austria has a fantastic chance to just be stuck in the semifinal against whoever wins that quarterfinal matchup.
So, it's again, Austria, the only goal in that France match was a fluky own goal as well. By the way, again, own goal, as we mentioned.
Killing it this tournament.
The player, forget the goal.
I feel like they were killing it at the World Cup, too.
They were. Well, that World Cup was a weird one as well.
Yeah.
Even though, again, he got probably the right champion, even though they lost to Saudi Arabia in the middle of the night here in the States. But, when you get such a top-heavy side of the bracket, and Tom, I'll just ask you this. England's your betting favorite still at plus 350. I would look for any possibility on that side of the bracket, on the Switzerland, Italy, England, Slovakia, Romania, Netherlands, Austria, Turkey side of the bracket. I'm looking for any argument for anyone but England to bet to win this thing or make the final bets as well. Because, I mean...
So what I've done...
Real quick, let's just take France, for example, here. If France were to make the final, and I'm not sure they're going to because of what you said with the Mbappe injury, and they still they've not scored a goal from in play. Their only goals are an own goal that Austria scored for them and a penalty kick. That's it. Which for that team is kind of jarring that that's happened.
Yeah.
But potentially their run to the final could be Belgium, Portugal, Spain. Brutal.
Yeah.
Any way you slice it, even though this is not the same Belgian team we've seen over the last few cycles.
It's still not fun.
Still not an easy matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, you much rather would have seen someone else. Much would have rather seen Romania if you were France. But is there credence here to just firing, and this, you bring this up with the Austria side, but is there credence to finding a team or two that you like on the opposite, not as competitive, not as competitive is not the right word, but the not as strong side of the bracket and trying to just fade England here? Maybe you mentioned Italy. Maybe it's a Netherlands. Maybe it is the Austrians at this point.
I mean, I grabbed Italy at 20-1 the other day just to have a price on them because, I was thinking exactly this. You've got an easier side of the bracket here where you've only reasonably got three teams. I can't in good conscience bet England, especially at plus 320. The other day when they were still plus 450, all right, it was probably the smart bet. There was definitely some value on them given how easy they have for a path back to the final. You also it hurts your soul to try and bet England in one of these competitions, not just as an American, but as someone who knows that this team loves to fall flat on their face and has not looked anywhere near impressive through this tournament. I'm glad that I have Italy because if they manage to make the final, not that this Italian team has looked great, but of the teams in that kind of second level, because you got England, Spain, France, Germany, Portugal. Those are your big favorites. After that, the Netherlands and Italy are really the two teams that if I'm trying to build a portfolio here, I'm trying to grab one of them, especially with the way the bracket shapes up. Like the Netherlands, to lose twice to Austria is kind of difficult. I don't know if that happens. They could, despite how the Dutch have looked, they could pull something out there. I like the idea of being able to have a couple of these teams where I can go into the final saying, okay, I've got a really great price on the underdog. I've got a 16-1. I've got a 20-1 ticket here. And then being able to use that leverage. Like if you get a team like Spain on the other side, I want to just use that leverage to bet the favorite. Because I really don't see a team from that side. Whoever wins that top side of the bracket semifinal, I really think is winning the whole tournament.
You know, let's just start looking at some of these matchups here
Yeah.
in the round of 16, and then we'll look at the futures market. The first one up, and again, I don't love how they just pivot beside each side of the bracket for this, but whatever, it is what it is.
Mhm.
The first matchup of the round of 16 is Italy and Switzerland. You said you grabbed Italy at a big bloated number, 20-1,
Yeah.
before we knew what the bracket was.
Mhm.
They are favored in the three-way line. Again, remember, we're now out of the group stage, so all these, if we get a draw in the first 90, that's your winner on your three-way lines.
Right.
You, if Italy were to win, let's say, with a goal in extra time in like the 110th minute, they would win on the two advanced thing, but not on your three-way line. So again, make sure, as always with soccer, if you're new to betting soccer, make sure you know what you're betting.
Yeah. Remember, that's why you'll see some money line prices and be like, "Ooh, I'm getting plus money on this team. They should be the favorite." They are the favorite. There's a draw bet in there.
So plus 140. These are all from the Superbook, by the way. Plus 140 on Italy, plus 240 on Switzerland. We're recording this on Thursday. Plus 195 on that draw. Total is down to 2, which is not much of a shock knowing how these teams play.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this, Tom. I am not backing down from what I said about the Swiss at the beginning of this tournament. They always seemingly play up in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't matter if on paper that this looked like probably the weakest Swiss team in the last few cycles, but they managed to play up. They very easily could have won that match against Germany. They did play down against Scotland, but I think that was more of an inspired effort by the Scots trying to stay alive more so than anything on Switzerland's end.
Yep.
And they really took it to Romania in that first match. I know Romania made it close, but Switzerland was a clear right side all the way around. This is one of those, Tom, where I would actually look to see if I can find Switzerland plus a half goal anywhere.
Yeah, I'm going Switzerland draw no bet.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
Draw no bet or plus half goal.
Yeah.
Like, there's a strong possibility this goes to extra time.
Oh, I think so.
A very strong.
Well, the market's kind of telling you that.
Yeah.
Where you have a low of what is the, by all accounts, there is another 2 out there, but this is the lowest total because the juice is on the under. The other game that has a 2 is juiced over.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be 2.5 by the time that game kicks.
Mm-hmm. And the way this is, like the way Italy's been playing, they've been incredibly defensive, and Donnarumma has been fantastic through the tournament. Like Italy has the hot goalie so far. That being said, they really had to leave it late to bounce Croatia from the group, and they have struggled. Like, they have not looked good in this tournament. Switzerland, I think, has looked a lot better. The talent level is definitely with Italy, but if I'm playing this game, I'm taking Switzerland draw no bet because I think this is going to extra time.
You know, I think I'm in a scenario here where that's the bet I'd only look at. If you want to take the draw, you can. I hate taking any draw prices that are less than $2.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
There's no value.
Less than $2, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would look again. This feels like screams extra time more so than anything. I'm not sure who wins. I would lean to the Swiss winning just because of how they've managed to find some magic and the way Italy has played. And you mentioned it. I don't like how they've played, other than the first 25 minutes against Albania, which was. Really, in all honesty, it was all out of whack because the Albanian fans were snapping spaghetti before the before the match. But ever since then, it's too conservative. Because even in that Spain match, I thought that if Italy, they got more aggressive the last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, but they're not trying to be aggressive in this tournament.
But it was too late in that match.
Yeah.
If they had played aggressive for a half, you know what? They might have found one.
Yeah.
They played well enough in that 20, 25-minute stretch when they really pushed. I mean, they almost found one as it was in stoppage time.
Yeah. They've shown that they can do that.
They're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
And Donnarumma's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think Donnarumma's the best keeper in this tournament?
Statistically, the Georgian goalkeeper has been the best keeper.
No, I'm just saying overall. Like,
talent-wise, yes. But I think that his performance has also been amazing. The Georgian goalkeeper's performance has been
yes.
wild. I got to give that prop.
Two different questions, but yes. Yeah. But in the end here, I think we're in agreement. Swiss plus a goal. Swiss bet no, draw no bet. Just go with that.
Yeah.
On the Swiss side, with that. Germany is a nice size favorite against Denmark, -165 on the Germans, +490 on Denmark. 2.5 the total, plus 290 on the draw. Juice under in a total, by the way, Tom. All things considered, I thought Germany looked pretty good.
Yeah,
now,
Germany's scoring the goals that they need to score. They've looked fine throughout the tournament. I'm comfortable with
the
them.
big question, just more so than anything, as the competition gets better, how is this offense going to look? They didn't look particularly great against Switzerland, even though I know it was a strange one. I do question the effort a little bit in that Swiss matchup because it actually, as we talked about, it might have actually been better for Germany if they slipped to the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not thinking like that. But this feels like a good matchup in this spot. You find one that's probably enough against a Denmark team that had problems scoring in this tournament for the most part.
Yeah.
I would look to Germany winning this. This is probably a no bet whatsoever for me. Total at 2.5 is hard to go under. Even with the way that the Danes play, and will struggle to score in this.
I want to give a shout out to Christian Eriksen.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Him scoring a goal in this tournament is the most impressive feat in sports history. It's
pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
You died in the 2020 tournament, and you scored a goal in 2024. Congratulations! No one's beat that in the history of sport. DeMar Hamlin would have if that first down play had actually worked. If that fourth down play had worked, but. Yeah, this is where the road ends. I don't see anything. I don't see any value on the German side here. I don't know that you really want to bet a total because of the fact that if Denmark is down late, they're going to be pushing really aggressively and could get burned on a counter. So you could see this game, it's not quite empty netters, but you could see this game get out of hand late if they're down a goal or two and really have to push. So I'm very scared to take an under and pass. I'll just pass on this game and see Germany in the next round.
To Sunday, Slovakia and England's up first. If England loses this match, even by their standards, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, I know Slovakia did beat Belgium earlier in this tournament, so they already have beaten a high-end team in this tournament. But I know England looked awful in that round. They're minus 255, by the way, to win this match of regulation. Slovakia plus 975, plus 315 on the draw juice, under 2.5. I think that under is pretty good. With the way that just England has looked completely.
Oh, yeah, play the unders. Yeah, play the unders.
The
unders
games. Look great.
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm surprised it's not a 2 in all honesty.
Mm-hmm. Given how conservative this team is and how Slovakia is probably going to want to bunker, I wouldn't be surprised if the ball just sits at half field and both teams just sit there in their defensive
Slovakia,
zone.
you have to bunker in this game and just get this game as deep as humanly possible in a 0-0 scenario, and just all the pressure's on England the whole game anyway.
Yeah.
If you get to extra time in a 0-0 game, I mean, we know England's history of penalty kicks is obviously phenomenal, at least for us in the U.S., not for them in the UK, in England. But, Tom, I'll just say this from England's perspective, and I texted you this question. For Southgate here, where, England made a Euro final. They had some success in the last World Cup as well. It's time. It's time at this point. There was too much talent on this roster. They were the betting favorites for a reason. Yeah. Talent-wise on paper, this is the best team in this tournament. And at worst, the second best team in this tournament on paper.
They're dealing with the exact same thing the U.S. is dealing with Greg Berhalter.
They're just stuck in the mud.
It is your team. He's getting results. He can look at it and say, look, we made a Euro final. We went pretty far in the we went far in the World Cup. We're getting results. But it's like, you look at it and you're like, look, with the talent that we have, this team should be hoisting trophies and winning games. And it's the same thing with Berhalter with the U.S., where you look at it and you're like, for every Colombia blowout, you're like, oh, well, we drew Brazil, we drew England, we have some results to point at. And you're just sitting there like, it's not been bad, but it could be a lot better. They're the Kirk Cousins of soccer, both coaches. You're going to put up some numbers, you're going to get some results, but you're not winning anything. You're just refined mediocrity. And that's exactly what England is. Quite frankly, I'm not going to be sitting here tweeting out the clip of this and running a victory lap if they win it, but put a quarter unit down on Slovakia.
Oh, okay.
They're what, 9-1 to win this
plus
game?
975 in reg. Yeah.
Look, throw $25 on it. You never know. England is. There is no underdog that is priced correctly against England. They all have the way England plays. They're one bad bounce away from being out of the tournament because they're not going to go out and try to score 3 goals.
Just too conservative. In the end. And this is what
every single underdog is live.
But this is why we talked about in the open of this, why we're looking to fade England long term.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think this is the game to fade them. I mean, look, if you want to do pizza money like you just said, on
Exactly. I'm
Slovakia,
not saying
fine.
put something
Do
serious
like
on
a
it.
10th of a unit or whatever.
Yeah.
But look, you're in a scenario here more so than anything where if you look for England, you run into the Dutch, who I know this is not the best of Dutch teams, but
They're talented
guess
enough to
what?
make
They're
them
capable of scoring goals.
Yeah.
And that's not the greatest of matchups against England facing a team that is capable of scoring goals.
And for those that might be listening to this podcast and aren't that familiar with soccer and with the lineups and the rosters that we have, this would be like if Mike McDaniel came out and said we're a ground and pound football team down here in Miami.
Very good, Tom.
Like that is very much what this England roster is. You have all of this attack, just incredible talent loaded throughout your attack, and you're just saying, nope, we're giving Raheem Mostert 40 carries a game. That is what they're doing.
Let's go to Spain and Georgia. Look, for Georgia,
It's been fun.
it's been fun. They should have beat the Czechs as well on top of Portugal.
Mhm.
They very easily could have won the group, as wild as that is.
Yeah.
And they would have actually it would have basically been the same sort of bracket. But the run ends here.
Yeah.
The run ends here. It just, for Spain, this is the wrong matchup for them. Where Spain is going to be able to control possession. Spain is going to be able to basically put Georgia in very difficult decisions when they have possession. And Spain's minus 550 to win a regulation. That's pricey.
We don't need to talk
The
about this
price
game
is
that
right.
much.
So the
Yeah.
only question is, do you bet under 3?
No.
You don't.
Spain has the potential to pop off.
Okay, so that's really the only question more so than anything, because there is a 3 out there. You could go under 3.
Yeah.
And
Now, like, I still like Spain at plus 440 to win the whole tournament. See if you can shop around, see if you can find something better than that. If you find better than plus 450, like, tweet at me at TV at work because I want to go take that. But their run isn't as bad as it could be. Would I prefer to be facing Belgium in the next round rather than Germany? Sure. That Spain-France matchup in the semifinal is going to be what determines the tournament, though. And
well, if France gets through, I don't think it's a gimme. France gets through Portugal at this point. I really don't.
I don't think it's a gimme, but if I'm sitting there with a Spain futures ticket and I'm facing Portugal instead of France, I'm feeling a lot better about that.
I agree.
I'm for sure feeling better about that. But if you do face France and you do decide, you know what, France has been putting it together, Mbappe's nose isn't bothering him, you're going to have options to leverage out.
Let's go to Belgium and France. What a matchup for a round of 16 in a Euro, because both of these teams finished second in their group. Here we are. And for France, I think more so France than Belgium. I never looked at Belgium as a threat to win this tournament. Never looked at them that way. I thought, all right, things go right, they make a semi. If things go right.
Honestly, they could still win it. They haven't.
This run, though, now for both of these teams.
Yeah.
Because they're playing each other in the round of 16. By the way, France is a minus 115 favorite to win a regulation, plus 215 on the draw. Belgium at 4-1 is a totally reasonable bet if you want to make that bet.
Oh, for sure, I'm betting that.
If you want to make a bet on that, take Belgium plus a half goal as well.
Yeah.
Reasonable. Cannot argue it. There's so much talent on this Belgian team that just hasn't come to fruition in this tournament so far. No problem with doing that.
And you look at things like the fact that Lukaku would have scored a bucket of goals if it wasn't for VAR.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's going to regress to the mean, and some of these are going to be going in. You have to think. 4-1 doesn't feel like the right price. Do I think France is probably making it out of this matchup? Absolutely.
Yeah, we're in agreement there.
Should Belgium be 4-1?
No, I think that price is that's again.
Yeah.
Remember, with betting, with a lot of things, do we think a team's going to win? Not necessarily, but that price is too darn good to pass up.
Exactly. That's the rule of betting. We're not here trying to predict the future. We're here trying to say, hey, the price on this is better than what it should be.
So Belgium, to me, this should be about plus 3.25,
250,
maybe 350 on the high end. I mean, look, France has not scored a goal from in play.
Yeah.
Their goals are an own goal and a penalty kick.
And this is a French team that's supposed to score goals.
Yeah. And again, I'm still concerned a little bit about again, this is the first major international tournament without Lloris since you and I were in middle school, Tom. So
yeah, Hugo Lloris is still is out there in LAFC now.
So it again, even though I know why it's the case, it's still like, wow, that's very different at this point. But in the end here, the best bet in this game is over 2.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this didn't come 2.5.
I mean, we are talking about it, though.
Look, Tom, a 1-1 regulation makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't see this game. The total's 2?
2.
I get that neither of these teams have really been scoring goals, but 2?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we saw a 2.5, I thought 2.5 was the proper number here. Juice to the under. 2.5 under was the number that's proper. It is 2 minus 40, so it is juiced, but I think you have so much push potential here.
Yeah.
That it makes sense to go over 2 and not the over 2.8. Like, I wouldn't take over 2.5 or an over even a 2.25 on the Asian handicap market as well. All right, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this next game. Portugal and Slovenia. Really, there's not much to say here. Slovenia, nice story, but the clock runs out here. Portugal, when they've been at full throat here in this tournament, has looked like a legitimate title contender.
Yeah.
The Georgia game, I'm not taking anything from it. Georgia scored early. Portugal, like, all right, we already have the group 1. We're not gonna really go crazy here. That's why Georgia ended up winning that game comfortably. Minus 250 in regulation with a 2.5 juiced under. Tom, I think all these pricings are right. I don't have a bet here. I do expect Portugal to advance in this one, though.
I mean, Slovenia's 32-1 to win this tournament for a reason. Yeah, we can move on.
Surprised not higher, in all honesty, actually. The last 2 games of the round of 16, the Dutch are, you know what? I'm a little surprised at how big of a favorite the Dutch are here. They should be favored.
Yeah.
They should be a reasonably sized favorite. Minus 230, though, on a 3-way? Not so sure about that. Romania, who won Group E, is plus 750. The draw is plus 325. It's juiced to the under. This is actually the dog I gravitate to the most here in this round. At Romania. Again, the Dutch are explosive. We could see the Dutch come out. Again, kind of not quite the feel I had with that Dutch-U.S. game in the round of 16 in the last World Cup, where I did think the Dutch were the better team, but the price wasn't out as outlandish on the dog. This is an outlandish price here on Romania.
The Dutch looked way better in that World Cup than they do now.
No, I agree. Well, again, when you are without your best player, you're going to look worse than you did in that World Cup. Plus 750 is too good to pass up here, Tom. Plus,
I mean, if you're taking these aggressive, like if you're taking these massive dogs.
How about this, Tom? How about you're getting a whole goal for a plus price?
That's insane.
That's surprising to me. Like, I would be more than willing to take a small bite of the apple on Romania at the big bloated 3-way line price, and then very happily taking a unit and a half, 2 units on plus 1.
That's a lot.
I'm okay with it.
I don't know.
Well, look,
I think
Tom, the most realistic result to me still in this game is probably Dutch winning by a goal. This game going to extra time, I really do like Romania to cover that plus 1, at least get this thing to extra time, and I think they are live to win this thing in regulation.
I think that I'd still be taking some small price on them to win in regulation. My problem with plus 1 is, again, they're going to be throwing everything at the wall late. And that really leaves you if you're betting plus 1, you need them to get to extra time. It's no different than betting them plus a half, except you get the push if they lose 1-0. But you're still pretty much playing for a push there. And I just don't I don't want to have a part in betting that. Plus 1.5, now we're talking. But plus 1, I don't see this game going to extra time. I see the Dutch potentially winning by 1. But there is the chance that, it's just not the Dutch's day. The ball doesn't bounce right, and Romania can somehow make something happen. But I really would only want something on Romania to win at a very small, definitely not a full unit.
Austria and Turkey. We talked about the Austrians in the get-go here. Very impressive. Any way you slice it. I mean, they were a fluky own goal away from drawing France, and really even more impressive than they already were, getting through winning Group D with 6 points. They're minus 115 to win regulation against Turkey, who, my goodness, if you had the Czechs on the final day of Group F, pour one out for yourself.
Oof.
Pour one out for yourself. I mean, that was just brutal everywhere.
They should be in this tournament right now, and Turkey should be out.
Yeah, Turkey should be gone. But Austria's here, 2.5 the total. You know what? This feels like a good matchup for Austria, more so than anything, because Turkey's just a worse version of them.
Yeah.
More so than anything. 2.5 the total is right. I like the Austrians to get through. And Tom, what's the pricing that you've been looking at? Because we talked about it earlier. Austria to make a semifinal, Austria to make a final here in this tournament.
They're plus 340 to make the semi. I know we talked about it earlier, but the more I think about it just on this show here, I'm very worried now with the Dutch on their side of the bracket.
Right.
That's a problem because does the Netherlands lose to Austria twice? I don't think so.
It's a valid point.
Yeah.
It's a valid point. We have seen this. We're going to start seeing this more and more now. We're also going to start seeing this in the World Cup, too, with the absurdist expansion to 48 in the World Cup.
It's funny. The Euro is the tournament that should expand. They should go to the old World Cup format and be 32 and get rid of the rid of the third place nonsense. Just add 2 more groups and say, okay.
So are we just basically saying, sorry, Gibraltar, you're never going to call? You're going to be basically just getting rid of those minnows and just taking all the teams that are somewhat good in that scenario?
I mean,
because some people already think it's oversaturated at 24 in Euro.
No, I think that they could expand. Like the teams that you would be adding with an expansion aren't bad teams. Like you have some teams that could actually still be fun and still belong there. Like, look at this tournament. We've had some great upsets and we've had some great stories. And there were some teams where you were like, hey, they finished 4th in their group, but if they were in another group, they could have won it.
Well, we could have had Ireland in there, and they could lose in the most horrible fashion humanly possible, like they seemingly always do in major competitions.
I mean, it is downright hilarious that, what was it, Georgia in their first ever international competition makes the knockout stage. Scotland, 12 tries, haven't done it.
Yeah, it's still kind of crazy on that.
Yeah.
And also, too, since the Scots were in a pretty weak group, all things considered, other than the top of it with Germany.
Yeah.
A and B, the 2 groups that don't advance. All right, Tom, let's just play this thing out here. Let's play this thing out, extrapolating out to this whole bracket. I'll just give you my actual winners of each game, and then we'll go from there. In this quarterfinal action here, Spain beats Georgia. Sorry. I wish I could advance Georgia, but can't do it.
No. Germany
advances over Denmark. Portugal over Slovenia. I am going to take France over Belgium, even though we think the price on Belgium is worth a little bit of a spot, even though we think France is going to win the game. The price is just too good on Belgium to pass.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take Romania to upset the Dutch in that quarterfinal. Austria, England, and the Swiss is what I have going through there in the quarterfinals.
All right. I mean, I think that it's all pretty. Like, if you're in a bracket pool and you're trying to diversify there, I think Switzerland over Italy is one of the best matchups that you can make if you're trying to pick an upset there. I personally think that Italy's going to do enough to win that game, but I could totally see them losing it. But I also just really want to get to the Italy-England quarterfinal matchup. Like that's my goal here. I want to see the rematch of last year's final. I think that the Italians can put away England and move on. And at that point, you're probably in the final, depending on what the Netherlands does on the other side of that bracket.
All I'm going to tell you, Tom, is I did take a bite of the apple of the Swiss at 35-1 to win this tournament because of the bracket. I don't
hate that at all.
If they beat Italy,
yeah,
they're very much live to beat England. And then if you're in the semifinal, at that point, you can start hedging yourself out.
Yeah. So, and if you make it to the final, you're holding a 35-1 ticket, and you can probably just load up on Spain.
Or Spain or Germany or Portugal or whoever at that point. I'd probably want to see Portugal because I think they'd be the shortest favorite of them all against the Dutch, or excuse me, against the Swiss.
The reality is, I think that you want, if you can get lucky and find the team that's going to be from that side of the bracket, because as long as it's not England, you're getting a great price. If it is England, tough. But if it's not England, you're getting a great price on them right now in the futures market, and you could have a ton of potential for leveraging out and really locking in a nice profit.
Rusty, what do you have through the round of 16 here, Tom?
Through the round of 16, let me pull up the whole bracket here. I've still got Italy advancing over Switzerland. I've got them playing England. I've got the Netherlands, and then quite frankly, I could see Austria, the Magic running out, and Turkey winning.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Even with Turkey being a pretty similar compared to Austria.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that really does actually help them a little bit. And
okay.
They're a decent enough team, and they needed a little bit of luck there, but they made it in, and I could definitely spot that as an upset. The other side, Germany, Spain, Portugal, France. Very chalky. I recognize that. I think that I don't think that Romania has a chance to upset the Netherlands. I think that if I want to change it up a little bit, the Swiss beating Italy is very, very live. But I think that's where we're going into the next round. You're going to see Germany, Spain. You're going to see France, Portugal, and then you're going to see the Dutch probably in the semifinal going up against whoever comes out of that England, Italy, Switzerland trio. I think that's what we get.
Just rolling through here. I think we're in agreement that Spain ends up winning this tournament. I think
I hope so.
I think we're which is, again, we both have France pre-tournament. I think Spain is the one who ends up winning it. The only concern, and this is just this side of the bracket, and part of the reason I took a bite of Switzerland, is you get Germany, France, or Portugal more likely than not back to back leading into it.
It's a tough road.
That's a really brutal road. That's part of the reason I'm not on France anymore, where Belgium, Portugal, Spain, or Germany, I don't care.
Yeah.
Really difficult at this point to justify France. And you're not getting the proper price on France either in the futures market anymore because of that. So I really do think it's going to the Iberian Peninsula one way or another. It's Spain and Portugal are the two teams that I look at right now. They're 1 and 2. I know that the hosts are the matchup in the quarter for the Spain. I think seeing Germany for Spain is a little bit of a better matchup than the Portuguese seeing France in the quarterfinals. That's the main reason that I still would lean Spain over Portugal right now over picking teams.
Mm-hmm. I'm in pretty much complete agreement with you. The only thing is I don't think that Portugal is realistically the team that's coming out. Like, I do think that we see France versus Spain in the semifinal.
We'll see how this all plays out.
Indeed.
Tom, where can we find all your stuff?
You can find me at TV at Work on Twitter. You can find me over at unabated.com. We are Toolbox for Bettors. We're here to help you find value any way we can in the betting market. We're the picks and shovels that you need to be a good top-down bettor.
Always a great place. Unabated. Rufus, Jack, always incredible work over there. Tom on a great team over there at Unabated. Of course, you actually will see Tom. Tom will be co-hosting the show with me for a few days in the month of July. We're looking forward to that already.
Very much so.
So that'll be a lot of fun when we do that in a few weeks from now. Of course, if you're listening to this, make sure you're listening to Sports by the Book every Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. live. If you miss it, it's right here on this podcast feed. Make sure you're already hitting that subscribe button. A 5-star review would be nice as well. We'll never say no to that. I'm Jeff Parles. This has been your Euro 2024 knockout stage preview here as a Sports by the Book special.